President Obama will head to Connecticut today to push for gun regulation, which 4 months after the Newtown tragedy has been called DOA in Congress. Even with over 90% of Americans agreeing on simple common sense changes, including mandatory background checks. The president will meet privately with families of the victims at Newtown, who appeared last night on 60 Minutes. Families made a passionate plea for eliminating high-capacity magazines.
And when we look to the search warrants as well and know that he left the smaller capacity magazines at home, that was a choice the shooter made. He knew that the larger capacity magazine clips were more lethal.
The more bullets you can get out the end of that gun in the least amount of time, that is the single area that I believe affects lethality. And the size of the magazine placed in that weapon is a direct contributor to that, factor. There is a place for 30-round magazines in the military, on the battlefield, at a range. If they stay at the range, they stay at the range.
And they bemoan the general complacency of the country, including a stark warning from David Wheeler, father of Ben.
We have this sense of complacency where it should be someone else's job to take care of this. I shouldn't have to worry about this. Well, you know what? You do have to worry about it. You have to worry about your family. You have to worry about your community. You have to be involved. You just can't sit off and say, well, you know what? I have mine, so I don't have to worry about that because it's not going to affect me. True. Well, you had 26 families that became directly affected by this sense of complacency that seems to be overwhelming our country at this point in time.
I would like every parent in this country, that's 150 million people, I would like them to look in the mirror, and that's not a figure of speech, Scott. I mean, literally find a mirror in your house and look in it and look in your eyes and say, this will never happen to me. This will never happen in my school. This will never happen in my community. And see if you actually believe that. And if there is a shadow, the slightest shadow of doubt about what you've said, think about what you can do to change that in your house, in your community, in your school, in your country. Because we have an obligation to our children to do this for them.
And
it's going to happen again. It is going to happen again. And every time, you know, it's somebody else's school, it's somebody else's town, it's somebody else's community, until one day you wake up and it's not.
Unless we forget what it must feel like to lose a child, the parents of Ana Grace Marquez Green reminded us about the moment you learn the unthinkable is true.
I just took my son in my arms. He's a big kid. I took him like he was 2 years old again and held him on my shoulder and just was running from room to room trying to locate Ana's class.
And then I got a text from Jimmy. I have Isaiah, but I don't have Ana yet. So I was driving with my friend back to Sandy Hook, and I just kept texting Jimmy every 10 or 15 seconds. Ana, question mark. And then Ana, exclamation point, because we had Isaiah. I didn't understand why we didn't have Ana.
It's really stunning that this happened in December, and that we are now getting into mid-April, and there still hasn't been anything passed. And I think it does speak, unfortunately, to a broader dysfunction in American politics. Stuff like background checks, universal background checks, these have enjoyed 90% or higher support in poll after poll after poll. Nothing gets 90% support in American politics. You can't get 90% support for apple pie in American politics, but this has 90% support, and we can't get anything through Congress. That really shows the stranglehold that the NRA has, both in terms of its ability to work as a special interest wedge, but also its ability to use money in politics. People in Congress who know that this is a totally reasonable thing to implement in the aftermath of a tragedy like this are afraid of being primaried.